Yeah, I'm Mike Gangle, and I'm sitting underneath a house I built in a crawl space. The house above us took about 7 years. Most of that was waiting to sell other houses so we'd have the money to keep building this one. This house is very, very stout for hurricanes. I'm about 30 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. All the interior walls are shear walls, meaning they have plywood on them underneath the sheetrock. I've got it probably twice as many anchors as what the code calls for. Uh, Put a shear wall up in my attic, which took care of the swaying when Eglin would be doing some of their when Eglin was doing some of their bigger bombs. The top of the floor would shake a little bit, and that seemed to have taken care of that. It also works pretty well at blocking the radiant heat, so I've always got about a 40-degree temperature difference between the floor of the attic and the peak up by my ridge vents. I've had about 5 majors over the years. I guess if I would have finished one, I wouldn't be sitting here underneath the house trying to talk y'all into thinking this is such a good idea. So I used to really like to watch Stalag 17 when I was a kid, and we built a few underground cabins. And you know, when you're 10 years old building, you always think if you just had a bulldozer, a backhoe, or a bunch of concrete, you could have done it so much better. And we all get old and never get to relive our childhood. But, well, I don't know. Sometimes you get hit in your head and you get sent back to beginning. Anyways, I figured I'd better, if I was going to convince anyone that this was feasible, do a test shaft just to see how whether I could dig next to a footer and not collapse a house, and how deep I could go, what types of soil, how far down the water actually was, since I don't want to build a structure that rests in the water. It'll just wick moisture up, and I don't want to have to be running dehumidifiers or sump pumps or anything. I try to build things that just take care of themselves automatically. Hey, this is the front yard of the house that I built. It only took me 7 years. That's probably because I rolled a truck halfway through it and took the top of my head off, and I seem to have no short-term memory anymore, but I can do all the things I could do before. It just takes me longer. This is coming into the front foyer. It's about 15 feet high. The light's going to flood it out. You come into the great room. This house is very reinforced for hurricanes. All that pattern on the ceiling there is actually 2x4s covered with oak trim, and it's secured to my roof trusses to keep the room very square. Every wall in this house is a shear wall, so that it's basically like living in a house made of a bunch of shipping containers all strapped together. This wall here is 3/4 inch plywood. It faces west. This wall also is 3/4 inch plywood since it's facing west. Just getting over Christmas. There's the dining room. The top secret bunker project is somewhere underneath that table, about 21 feet down. The ceiling supports go all the way into here. All my exterior walls have plywood glued and nailed every 4 inches, which really cut down on my sound. All the interior walls have it on at least one side. In the attic, I added a shear wall on its side about 5 feet above the attic floor, which acts as a radiant heat barrier, keeps my utility bill low in the summer. And it took all the shake out from when Egglander up the street from us practiced dropping bombs, and the house doesn't shake like it did prior to me putting that floor in there. And this is just the kitchen. And really, if I walk around this place too much, my wife's going to get really mad about me putting all this online. So we'll go downstairs. So here we are on the bottom level, which is underground on 3 sides except for the side facing west. The workbench is built extra stout so that a couple people could hide under there if we had a tornado. The roof above this room is 1/2-inch plywood glued and nailed and then covered with sheetrock. I was going to originally pour a 12-inch concrete ceiling over this room and put some fire doors up, but my wife explained to me that we will never have a hurricane or a tornado hit us, and she knows more than I do, so I lost that. That's a little space to keep the cat during hurricanes. It's sealed up. I can put it in there with a bowl of food and a cat